Welcome to the MF Show, your pit stop for celebrity interviews. I'm Rich Waitas.
And I'm Jerry Zaiden. We're going to talk about hot car topics and everywhere the automotive industry takes us.
Today, we've got a guest and actually a Team MagnaFlow person here who's been a part of the brand here 3 to 5 years, I want to say, kind of off and on. You know, we've always found a way to work with him. We've got Chris Forsberg, professional drift driver, and really, when you come to know him, all-around car guy. He's one of those guys that's done everything from building them himself to driving them on a racetrack. Thanks for being here, Chris.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. And my first MagnaFlow memory, I would say, was actually all the way back in 2006.
Yeah.
I had you guys provided me with a couple parts when we did the first V8 swap on my 350Z back in Formula Drift. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had the Sears wrap on it. Yeah. And I remember it was, I'll just say that it wasn't my finest work. It was not a pretty installation, if you will. I was still kind of learning how to fabricate at that time. But yeah, since then, we've cleaned it up. It's looking pretty good.
Not too many drivers that are doing their own engine swap and fab work too, though. So it's kind of a different perspective you bring to the table, because you're not only the guy that's the hired behind the seat, but you also have the know-it-all to build and fabricate and really design stuff on your own that you kind of had to in this industry, you know?
Yeah. Especially, I've been with Nissan ever since the Z came back to the market, the 350Z back in 2003. So I found the 350 in a dealership, and I just knew that was a car I wanted to build. So I was like, just getting into drifting. We had just started running those drifting events over in New Jersey. I had a Mazda RX-7 at the time, and that's the car I really learned how to build and fabricate on. Like I said, just the delivery of the welds weren't really up to snuff, but you know, it held. And so did a lot of our R&D. I say R&D, trial and error, more so is a better word for
Reality
it.
Of racing.
Yeah, figuring out how to build drift cars, how to make them work back then. And yeah, when the 350 came to the market, I sold my RX-7 and I bought the 350Z. And shortly after that, did some build work on it, packed it up, and moved to California. And so that's basically when my drifting career kind of took off. Was it was at Irwindale. It was a Falcon Drift show off. I ran an event there, and then I actually from there got to meet a bunch of the Nissan guys from the motorsports team, because I was one of the very few people in the country that was racing in the new Z. And so that's where the relationship kind of was established. And so from then, it was a lot of that, once again, trial and error, trying to fit, big Nissan engines into small Nissan chassis, doing the V8 swap. And we even did a SR20 swap at one point. Now we're doing the VR38 swaps into them. So yeah, we've always kept it Nissan powered Nissans. And so because of that, yeah, we've had to kind of figure a lot of things out ourselves.
So what did the V8 come out of?
It was a Nissan Titan.
So you put a Titan engine in a 2-year-old Z.
Yeah, basically.
That's brave. I mean, I give you props for that one.
Yeah, and that's not a small motor. That's a dual overcam V8 that sits really tall.
It's massive. So we had to do a custom oil pan, and you can barely fit your hands on either side of the heads, because it's also
gigantic.
Yeah,
it's like a big block.
Yeah, double A arm in the front too. So there's a very narrow engine bay at the same time. So it's like you got a 1/4 inch on like all 5 sides.
Yeah.
What about the weight? Would that engine be quite a bit heavier?
It was massive. And so that was one of the issues that, we thought was going to make the car not drive very well, especially at that time, because everybody was running, turbo 4 cylinders. There were a couple of V8s out there. You had Sam Hubenet in the V10 competition coupe. You had Reese running in the GTO.
I remember.
But this
GTO,
so this Z was actually the first V8 swapped chassis that didn't come with a V8 in Formula Drift. So it was known to be potentially very nose heavy, not work very well. And that first year it was not so good. It was one of my less performing years, we'll say, because super nose heavy, suspension's bottoming out. This is when we're starting to learn about spring rates and things like that, because we just had what's on the car before, and we're like, why does it drive terribly?
So where are you from? So you came out to California.
Yeah, I'm from Pennsylvania. I was born and raised out there, just on the west side of Philadelphia in Westchester is where I was born. And I kind of grew up in Doylestown, the Bucks County northern side of it, until I was 21, and that's when I moved to California. And I've been out here since 2003. I had a small stint in Baltimore, when I was working with the MA Motorsports team from 2012 till 16.
Okay.
And then back to California.
And so what exactly brought you to California? Drifting?
Specifically drifting, yeah.
Okay.
So there was that D1 driver search that was back in the summer of 03.
Okay.
And I came out for that, didn't make it past first round. And so, but that like basically lit the fire. And that's when I trailered back home, sold the car, got the Z, and was just like gearing myself up to get back to California.
What was the original car?
The Mazda RX-7. It was a 1988, yeah.
Oh, 88 RX-7.
Yeah,
Okay.
second gen.
And D1 GP was still a big deal back then too, even stateside. But I think you were kind of on that wave of big power, more torque, as we watched kind of like D1 GP, which was more, traditional Japanese Touge kind of drift, and really Formula D coming in and really driving big power, new powertrains, crazy swaps. Because, that swap was iconic in the sense it was the first one where you're shoving a truck motor in a car that they were never meant to come together.
Oh, yeah.
But then the evolution of like seeing more V8s domestics getting mixed in was a pretty cool transition that when D1 GP kind of faded aside and Formula D came in and said, bring me your best, go crazy, and build some awesome stuff.
Yeah, so the first swap I did, because when I got that new Z, I put a supercharger on it, and that motor blew doing a demonstration at SEMA in 03. So I only had that engine in that car for maybe 4 or 5 months.
Oh, wow.
So blew the motor. And so the first thing I actually did was I put a turbo SR20 into it. Okay. So that it did the turbo 4-cylinder. So I went that more JDM, small, compact, lightweight route first. And then when I built my second Z, that's the one that we put the V8 into, because we kind of saw we had great success with the 4-cylinder Z. I'm one of 2 drivers that has done every single Formula Drift event. And so the first round, after it was announced at SEMA 03 that Formula Drift was coming in, having a national championship, I got partnered up with some SoCal based shops, and I got some support to be able to go out and compete at the first one, which was Atlanta. And we finished second place. We got all the way to the finals in that car. But then like you started to kind of see, GM and Dodge, with these big power cars. And so you had Sam won the championship the first year, and then Reese won it the second year. And so that's when we're like, I think we need to, get a V8 in this car. And so that's kind of where the idea came from.
Yeah. Power, there's definitely no substitute for the power. So from drift cars, you've gotten into other forms of motorsports.
Yep. So yeah, we've been doing drifting, like I said, for over 20 years now. But recently I got the opportunity to build and race a Nissan Frontier with the Nismo team. So I've always found off-road racing fascinating. It's cool. It's different. It's like the exact opposite of drifting. Drifting is a 30-second, just, all guns blazing pass. And then you sit and wait for your next run. And then in off-road racing, at least in the most of them, it's long endurance, up to 1,000+ miles. It's more about patience and, endurance than it is just all at once. And of course, jumping is cool too.
Yeah.
So with all that, like I always wanted to get into it, but it's obviously expensive and difficult to just kind of dive in, especially when, you already have another form of racing as your primary focus. So with the new Frontier coming out, I basically pitched to Nissan. I was like, hey, like, what if we take one of these new Frontiers, we build it, we run it in Class 7, we go down to Mexico, and we see what we can do with it. And it turned into, well, I'll do you one better. We're developing, some aftermarket parts. Shouldn't say aftermarket. We're developing a bunch of parts for the Nissan Frontier, the Nismo team is. And they're like, so if we can build this vehicle, campaign these parts, and then, if everything goes well, we're going to turn it into this Forsberg edition truck. And so lo and behold, we were basically doing the R&D testing for the bolt-on performance package from Nismo Off-Road that is now the Nissan Frontier Forsberg edition.
Okay.
And so
I got to stop there.
Yeah. I know
I'm a Nissan fan, and in history of Nissan, there has never been an edition with somebody's name on it.
No.
You are the first in all of all motorsport history that got to have your name on an edition of vehicle that was factory installed.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
It's super cool. And so it's funny because, like, for 20 years I've been, drifting Z's and, doing that whole gambit. And then we go to the truck side and we learn really quickly, like how big the truck market is, because we, put this campaign together, do this one race. We have a great success, the brand new truck, win the class. And all of a sudden, we got a truck with my name on it. And it's just incredible to have that kind of support. And it, once again, just shows, how great Nissan's been to our program over these years. Myself being, like I said, all these like Nissan powered vehicles over the years, like never straying away and just putting an LS or a 2J or whatever. Like all my vehicles, ever since I started professionally racing, I've always had Nissan.
Your loyalty paid off.
Yeah. Yeah. And so to turn it into a new discipline and to get the result, and then, to have this vehicle on the street, it's really, really cool. And, with all that being said, the Nismo team has always been very, very supportive of what we do. We've actually won more championships for Nissan than anyone else in the past 20 years.
Wow.
So, because obviously Nissan did have a huge presence in racing, sure, in off-road and road racing and everything. And we've all kind of seen it kind of taper in those years. And so we've been basically carrying the flag as high as we can the whole time.
Yeah, I feel like Nissan's one of those companies. They had Steve Millen and some other people. They used to do the Mickey Thompson series. They used to have Roger Mears in the 7 truck.
Yeah, Carl Rennezetter out there doing short course. Yeah. That's where we got our engine program from.
Nice. Oh, no way.
Yeah,
that's cool.
We were running in 2010 through 16. We absorbed the old Rennezetter engine program.
Okay.
Because when that closed down, I forget what brand he went to from there. But Nissan just had like 4 or 5 of those motors, and we started putting them in the drift cars.
I think it was Vanderhoovel or whatever. There was some pro light team that was doing Crandon.
Couldn't tell you.
Yeah, I want to say it was the Vanderhoovel. I might be butchering the name. It's been so long since I've said it, but great family name in short course.
Yeah, I know. KC Curry was racing in a Frontier for a minute there too with the
Torque series.
Yeah, so
Torque.
Yeah, long time ago.
Yeah, well, I think there was the core and the torque, but I want to say Nissan had a program where they were giving people engines if you were going to race them in your trucks, and I think it was the 4 cylinders and the pro lights.
Oh, so Lucas Oil did that. You had a choice that they had, and I know it was funny because specifically we were with Sam Hubenet at the time, and we were drifting, Mopar V8s and a Challenger, and then he had an opportunity to step into that program because they now allowed V8s that were created in spec motor to compete against the SR20s. Because that was I think the SR20s were like the choice motor for that, the lowest level, the Pro Lights.
It was a K series.
Yeah.
The K24.
The K20, that's right.
Yeah. So, they were running, but when they were still running the 4 cylinders, they had the 2.4 liter. Yeah. And so, what comes in the 240s and everything else now. But, it was, Rennezetter, he had the Titan V8. And so when that program came to an end, Nissan was like, you are the only other person that we know that's racing with this 5.6 liter engine. So it worked out really well for us.
That's awesome.
We had our most successful years with that program. We went second place, first place, third place, first place, 4 years in a row in the championship.
And I feel like with a company like Nissan, it's like, you have Toyota as like the Japanese giant, call it, right, in America. And then you have Nissan that's always made the trucks and the cars, and now they had the full size with the Titan. They start to make steam, but then they never get involved in motorsports. They have your program, which is awesome, but they start to make some way in the marketplace when they get the bigger team going, and then seems like they kind of pull back a little bit.
Yeah, it seems like that a little bit. They had a really great road race program going for a minute there with the GT3 class. Yeah. They're starting to do GT4 again. But they're very successful with the GT3 car. They won a couple championships with that GTR. Brian Highcotter, a friend of mine, he was one of the drivers. Actually, it was the U.S. based winner of the Gran Turismo whole GT Academy Challenge. So that was actually really cool to see that come to life, and he was very successful with that.
Yeah, they make awesome cars. And the Z's been amazing. Now, I was at Crystal Cove. We were doing a little cars and coffee there, even though we're not supposed to, but we all meet there. Is there a new 240 or like a smaller version? What is that new car?
There's not. They talk about it. They keep talking about.
Is that a new 350Z?
Oh, the new Z, yeah, the all new Z that's their twin turbo coupe that they have. But the new 240, they keep kind of rumoring about. No, it's not out, and I don't know if it will be out. I'm not just saying that.
Yeah. Well, maybe I'm confused.
I think they don't tell me because I'll probably blab my lips over it.
Yeah. So I'm confused. So I saw a new Z then.
Yes.
And so when did that car come out?
That car came out in 23. We were actually the first team to receive one outside of Nissan.
Okay,
because literally R&D'd on his car. Oh, because it was the first one in California and in the nation.
Yeah, well, I see this car down there, and like we're all like coming from our Porsches and Ferraris, and we all migrate to this like little Z car, and it's like
I got mine outside. You should see it at the end.
Yeah, I want to check that out. I thought it was a cool little car. Back to that daily driver conversation we had, I was like, great. This might be that car.
You know what you might have seen? Do you remember?
It was a new car though.
They had those 2 prototypes they came out with that were like kind of the NX 2000-ish kind of size. I forgot which. What do they call those things? One of them had a livery number on it. It was in Nissan red, white, and blue. And then the other one was in one color.
That IDX car?
Those 2 prototypes.
I don't think you would have seen that at Crystal Cove, though.
No, it looked like a street car. It was like a little coupe, 2-seater.
Yeah, it would have been a Z. Yeah.
Okay.
That's the car.
Yeah, someone was...
Because they're still very rare. Like, you barely see them. So people hardly recognize them when they see them.
Yeah, and they're like, it's... No, is that a 4-cylinder twin turbo?
No, it's a V6.
It's a... Oh, wow. So it's a V6.
So it's a 3-liter V6 twin turbo. They make like 400 horsepower. They can make like over 500 very quickly and easily.
So that's a really fun car.
Oh, it's great for a daily,
Okay.
You were talking dailies, and it's good to bring that up because right now, in the weird pricing of today's market, you can buy that car for sub $40,000.
You can, technically.
And if you spec it right, it's probably the best bang for your buck. Rear-wheel drive, front engine, turbo base, so you can do the quick mods to get some power. You can fit like a 305 tire into things if you like that wide look with no wide body kit. And inside, it's a true 2+2, so you get a little back seat. Which
there's no back seat.
No back seat.
Yeah.
It's just like a firewall or something.
Yeah, and that's
what I thought was cool about it.
It's a 2-seater.
Yeah, it's just got that sport car feel, and
totally
for under $40K in today's market, it's unheard of.
Yeah, it seems like a great little car for that. And then, what was I going to say?
But see, for me, it's like I love driving the Z on the daily, but like I'm still just a truck guy. I go to my pickup. It's easy. Throw the stuff in the back. You got room. You got elbow room. Got plenty of cup holders. But the Z is like it's fun to jump in that one from time to time.
Yeah. Did they make that in a manual?
Yeah.
So they do have it in a manual.
Yes. Yeah. That's where they really took it over when the Super came out. That was obviously like the big backlash on that. It is now offered in manual, but the Z was always offered manual and automatic.
Okay, now I got to drive one there.
It's a fun little car, and I think that's always been like a Nissan mantra. Go back way in history when I think it was called the Sentra SER popped out.
Yeah,
it was a lightweight 4-cylinder 5-speed manual that you can go tear up. It was to me the counterpart to the Miata world. If you didn't want to drive the Miata, there was that SER, and they've always had a compact turbocharged motor setup that was fun to put into vehicles. And when you look at the history of Nissan supporting front engine rear drive, I don't think there's another brand that did it as often and is through the price points as Nissan's done, from obviously the Monster, the R35, all the way down to like you could buy an S14.
Well, what's cool on the Nissans, I remember in high school, I graduated high school in 91. My friends had the 240 SXs, right?
Yep.
4-cylinder, rear-wheel drive, stick shift, cheap, very moddable. And that's what these cars, we need to bring that back. Yeah. Like Nissan, if you're listening, bring it back. Like make a car that looks cool, that then the aftermarket could mod and make cooler, but something that's in that like $25,000 to $29,000 range in today's money, which would be like that $15,000 car in the 90s.
Yeah, Toyota did a pretty good job with it with the GR, and then they also have the Corolla, which is like the all-wheel drive, hot hatch. And then Nissan, the Z is fantastic, but like having something that's a little more in that like 20 to 30 price point would be like
a kid, money. Just out of high school or in high school working, wants to have a car and then start modding it out. Yeah. But it's not, too much power right off the bat, but they get to kind of have fun with it. We need to bring that back.
I know. Yeah.
That'd be cool.
We keep, poking at it. Yeah. So we're hoping that it comes back.
So you do a lot of drifting. You've raced off-road.
Yep.
You're continuing off-road.
Big veteran off-road, done 2 races now. Actually, technically like 3.5.
So which races have you done?
Well, I did NORRA 500 last year, the year before, and then 2 years before that in 22, I want to say it was 21. That was in a UTV. That was my first NORRA race, and we broke the transmission in half on day 2 on that one. We're running third. We're feeling really great. So it was like one of those, let's just see how we go, enter this race. And at the end of day 1, we're like, oh, wow, we're like sitting third in class. We're like, okay, like, so then like, it gets to your head, all of a sudden you get competitive. Like, we're like playing around with the car overnight and then like broke, and then I broke the transmission in half the next day.
Welcome to off-road.
Yeah, XP4. So they got kind of a glass box on them. And so, but my first off-road race was with Valvoline back in 2016. They were doing like a team building exercise. So they had this truck that they built at their shop. It was more of a swamp buggy than it was an off-road truck. It was a first-gen Dodge, Leafs front and back. They had like a 1,000 foot-pound Cummins engine in it. And so, yeah, it was just, oh, God. That thing made it like, I think 70 miles until it just like the front end broke off of it. Yeah.
Where did you race that?
That was Baja 1000. Are we allowed to say that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're down in Baja.
That was the 1,000, yeah.
Okay.
But we didn't make it very far.
Yeah, that's and what people don't realize about the 1,000 is how brutal the start of that race is.
Yeah.
It starts off real easy, right? But what's hard about the start is your adrenaline's going, the green flag drops, and 99% of people just don't realize that, like, if you just go off the start line just cruising, and you make it through all the stuck people and all the mess that's going on in the first 15, 25 miles of the race, you're golden the rest of the time. But so many people, they start, they make the first, well, they changed it now, but the old start was like right on the main street there, and you immediately turn left and you haul butt, and then you got to turn left and then turn right and drop into the wash.
Yeah.
But everyone, that first left, they go straight and they miss that front turn, right? And they go plowing through the K-rail, or they lock up the brakes. Jesse James one year like fully spun out and did donuts, and then they go down. I mean, it's like there's so much adrenaline flowing, especially when you're going fast. Yeah. And sometimes the stock vehicles, like you get going, like fast to those is like 60, but they don't stop as well as 100 in a trophy truck, right? So like,
I would say so. Yeah.
Yeah. So
that thing must have weighed like 9,000 pounds. It was massive
tank.
And, but yeah, we, what was it? We got like, left Ensenada, got down through the wash, and we get like into this like really rocky up over a little mountain section before we got to, I forget the name of it, but, it's like 30 miles south. There's that like fire road that runs down along the way.
There's Europan, and then there's, so if you made it to the coast.
We didn't make it to the coast.
Okay, so probably Europan.
Not that.
Yeah.
Yeah. We did in the pre-runner.
Santa Tomas or Europan, one of those.
But yeah, so it was, that fast flowy fire road. And, but before we got there, like one of the shock mounts broke off of the front.
Okay.
And the brake line is cradling this like bypass. So like that was cool to notice. We almost lost the brakes on that little sketchy mountain road. And then, when we got down to that wash, we hit like, maybe like a 1 foot bump in the road, but enough to get it kind of light. Comes down, transfer case broke in half.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. But that was a whole different experience. Like I said.
That's a lot different for sure. Cause it's, people thinking, oh, I know how to make a truck go off road. Yeah. They don't know Baja.
It's a mess. Like what we were talking about right before we came in here. It's like, there's so much abuse that happens in so little time out there. Cause it's constant. So like I said, what I really enjoy about, the off-road side is just how much endurance the vehicle has to take. And so when we were able to build that Frontier and we took it down, no mechanicals, we finished the truck, we drove it to Mexico, entered the race, finished the race, drove it back, and we even drove it to SEMA after that too. 0 issues.
And this was the NORRA 500?
That was the NORRA 500. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So, which was, we kind of, I like strategically picked that race because since my record was 0 finishes in 2 races,
gotta get across the finish line.
because the 1,000, that was a whole different story. And then when we did NORRA 500 in the UTV and the transmission broke, so I was like, okay, like NORRA's nice because you have those mandatory pit stops, you have the overnight, and so we're building this truck for Nissan. I was like, we really got to make sure like we keep our head on and get this thing to the finish line. And yeah, we had absolutely no issues. The only thing we had to do was swap a drive shaft because I like high-sided trying to get around somebody that was stuck.
Yeah.
So this guy was stuck in the sand, and so I was trying to squeeze around him, and there's just this huge rock in the middle, and so I just center lined it and put a nice little gouge in that drive shaft. But the funny part is we didn't even have a spare. Okay. So I swapped it with our support truck. So the support truck's just ripping down the highway.
Yeah, he probably doesn't even
roll drive shaft. It worked fine. Yeah. So it probably would have been okay in the race truck, but obviously we.
As long as they're not vibrating, you're good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then for everyone out there, there's different series down in Mexico, right? They have Code and Record, and then NORRA, which was like the original name of the 1000 in the 60s, I think. But anyways, NORRA kind of came back as a historical race. So you would race those older vehicles.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like started out as gentlemen's racing, but we all know like it doesn't matter how old you are, but competition's competition.
Yeah.
And that race is really big now. They have the NORRA 1000 and the 500. But what I really think, and that's a race I have not done yet.
Really?
It's like the rally style, but it's like you race town to town, you eat tacos, you drink beer, there's music, and all the locals in every town. And, you know, you might have a 70-mile day or a 200 or 300-mile day. And for everyone out there listening, like it's a really cool race, and a lot of people can follow it, which is cool too. So,
well, it's super relatable too, because the technology they're using, I think there's a few cars that we've sponsored.
Oh, there's full-on unlimited trucks.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But, I mean, there was guys driving, I forget the Nova was something with a chicken or a rooster.
Oh, yeah.
And then there was like the 57 Chevy that was Stormin' Norman.
Oh, yeah. That's Rick Johnson and Jim Riley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, they're just cool cars that someone took out of their garage and with 4 shocks and like old school tech.
And that's the real NORRA experience, is those vehicles that raced back in the day.
Yeah.
Like they took 57 Chevys and off-roaded them out.
Yeah. But those guys are doing it.
Yeah, they're doing it for sure. And then now, you know, there's the vintage guys that are like, can you start us in front of, you know, the unlimited trucks and all the UTVs, because it's gotten so popular.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a really cool crowd. Like you said, like everything from these like classics that seem to have no business down there, but they get to the finish line, no problem, which is the cool part, you know. And then you have,
do they start in front of you or behind you?
We started towards the back, because it's class 7. So, and
that's what for another education out there. So when you look at who starts where, it's like the slower classes start behind the faster classes.
Yep.
And so in a lot of cases, you'll get 200 vehicles starting in front of you with unlimited trucks with 40-inch tires.
Oh, yeah.
You know, 600 to 1,000 horsepower, just digging everything out. And then you got all the UTVs in front of you.
Yep.
And then you're in the stock Nissan with some aftermarket parts, and you're on 33 or 35-inch tires trying to squeeze through the silt beds that are now gnarly silt beds.
Oh, yeah.
And you're going through those, and there's still unlimited trucks stuck in those.
Yeah.
You're like doing everything you can. So I've been there and done that so many years. It's very difficult to start in the back.
It's rough, yeah, because you definitely come up on you know, a lot of stuck trucks. Like I said, there's that one guy that's like stuck right in the middle. Had to go around him, damaged our truck in the process. But yeah, like all the UTVs start in front. And there's a mess of them in that series.
Yeah, they're all 35 and 37-inch tires now, which is crazy.
Yeah, and they're flying. And then, we got all the 11s behind us.
Yes.
So just stay ahead of the 11s, right? That's a good goal to have.
But they're very quick. They're faster than people think.
It's unbelievable how fast they are.
Yeah.
So the 11s, for those that don't know, they're the bugs.
Yeah. Stock Bob.
Have you done a Class 11 race?
I have not. I've been asked, and I definitely want to do it. I've
heard it's like a rite of passage for off-road racers. So if you haven't, I'm feeling okay, because I have a lot less races under my belt than you.
Yeah, I started in a 1600 buggy, which is 33-inch tires in the back and the BFG implement tire in the front. So I started there, which is basically sort of like an 11 car, but tube chassis and a little longer. And then they have what's called the 9 car, which is basically an 11 car without the body.
Okay.
So it's like stock beam and trailing arm. Everything's stock, and you get a little bit bigger, better shocks. But these guys are in stock Volkswagen bugs. Yeah. One of my friends, Alex Gonzalez, he does it. One of our other guys, Blake Wilkie, he's doing it.
Yep.
And I mean, man, these guys, they're going really fast what these are. But what's hard now is like,
I don't understand how they are. I mean, I guess, yeah, they're just so light. They just skip across everything.
they're just,
It's hilarious.
they're like Porsches. They're just so well engineered doing what they do. But what's crazy is how expensive they are now.
Really?
So like to build a stock VW engine or to do body work on that, late 60s Bob. I mean, they're very desirable from the collectibles. They used to be like, you go pick one up for $500, right? And it ran. But now it's like, you can't even buy one stock for 10 grand.
You would think that somebody would be making aftermarket engines for those by now.
I think they do.
They're there, but the problem is it's the same thing with everything in the aftermarket that's there.
Not the same as
you're getting a billet block now. You're not getting a cast piece.
Or that,
yeah. And the guys who are making them are building them at a level that's for somebody who's building $100,000 car or restoration. So you're not finding. I mean, I can only speak to my experiences, but I don't know how many magnesium blocks I saw burn in the desert in my youth that today are worth a fortune.
Yeah. I mean, all the stock Volkswagen parts, like all that German manufacturing back in the day, was just such high quality product, and we just can't duplicate it today. You know, and
there's actually this one company. It's called PRP. They're based in Australia. I just saw that they just finished building the first aftermarket RV26 engine.
Ooh,
so they casted their own head, they casted their own block, and so they are now building aftermarket RV engines, which is really cool. The first one just came out yesterday.
Australia's got some unusual stuff. They just came out, and I forget the name of the company, with their 4-cylinder version of the LS. So it's a half LS, so it uses an LS head. It uses all the architecture that's been well proven, but
I wonder how that sounds.
That's got to be weird. I mean, LSs, generally speaking, especially with like an emissions cam, and aren't very tonal until you put a nice hefty cam in them. Then they wake up, but they also have a unique tone. So what is a 4-cylinder version? I don't know. Shut off half the. I've heard a lot, but I don't know that that's something that I've heard. But those 3/4, what do you call them, midget cars, and they're running those things like crazy now because the aftermarket support for that is amazing. Pistons, connecting rod, all that stuff's interchangeable. So
it's kind of like that Scat V4 they did for a while. Same premise, but now they're just doing inline.
Yeah, so that's we were just doing a shoot with the whole NOS Energy team out in North Carolina. Okay. So they rented out the whole Charlotte Motor Speedway, and so we had Sheldon Honshaw there. We had Justin Grant out there, and so they brought a bunch of their vehicles out, and so they had one of the midgets there, the little TRD 4-cylinder. And that thing actually sounded pretty wicked. So I'd imagine that little LS will probably sound pretty similar to it. It's pretty high strung. Yeah,
you get those R's up there, everything sounds like a race motor.
What kind of RPM are those seeing?
I don't know, honestly. I didn't ask him that one, but
9,000.
I would say, safely speaking, 7 to 8, unless you've got some really wicked drivetrain and that are top end to it, because that's where all that matters. Lightweight, valve train movement, springs, all that stuff gets to be pretty interesting. But there are those LSs that people have driven up into the 8,000 mark pretty reliably. So that's not a problem.
I mean, like, one of my favorite sounding motorcycles of all time is the old, 4-cylinder 8-valve. So, you know what I mean? So, like, maybe the LS little 8-valve sounds something like that. That'd be cool. They definitely have like a nice tone to them. But I haven't seen or heard one of those run yet. But I've definitely seen some LSs I should say heard some LSs that sound really nice, especially when they do the 8-to-1. See some people pull that off nicely.
Our buddy TJ has a C6 that he just dumped a 8-to-1 setup into with a custom exhaust we had to build that takes that one all the way through the tailpipe, and it's just a different noise. I mean, it's not even I think it's a 525 horse setup in the motor, nothing severe, nothing crazy on the cam, but it sounds like it's got that, typical RPM doubling effect you get when you do an 8-to-1. Everything, just the pulses sound like it's just that much more high strung.
Oh yeah,
it's pretty cool.
It really changes the tone of the engine. I remember they did that on Tanner's car. Trying to hide the LS in the Volkswagen. I think if we do an 8-to-1, it won't sound like an LS.
And that's for everyone out there, Eisenhower Brothers, their race truck that they're racing has that as well. It's like the only truck out there that sounds like that.
It sounds so
definitely wicked. So my son and I talk about doing an older 911 that way, so it's like not so like choppy, because the 911 crowd hates the LS swap, but it really makes the most sense. And I saw the Albans now makes a transaxle for the 911, so if you put that in the car with a good LS, like, that'd be a badass.
That'd be a very interesting sound. Very cool. I know, it makes me wonder what like the Nissan, obviously everybody the old trumpet, right? The VQ trumpet. Like, I wonder what a 6-to-1 on a VQ would sound like.
It's interesting. I mean, VQs have such a character all their own, and it's weird too because love it or hate it, right?
Yeah.
So many people are like, "That's a VQ motor, and that's awesome," and that's a VQ motor. I don't want you to plug my ears. You know, it's a weird thing, and it's the reputation that they have was funny because a lot of our mufflers tend to tone out the frequencies that you don't like in the VQ. So that mid-tone that's kind of harsh, our straight-through packing material with like that dual stage kind of kills it. So we watched a market that we didn't really try to support pop out, which is one of the unusual reasons why we got more involved with that platform. Was there was just a huge demand for these resonators that we created that were 4-inch, and we were watching them go, 2 of them side by side, and all these guys that had G35s, and it was just a go-to setup, and we were like, why haven't we kind of changed our large round body or oval body mufflers to that? And it was actually Stillen who kind of said, hey, we're using your parts in our product, and we kind of get this unique sound. And we kind of change a dynamic out there just because inherently something in our design is good for VQ sound.
There you go.
Yeah, and it was funny too because I think Brian Scotta over at Hoonian, they got a hold of a lot of VQ motors for the cars they thrashed, and that was like their number one order piece from us was our 4-inch resonator, 2.5-inch core, and they were like, "Dude, it just makes the VQ sound good."
It just fixes it.
Yeah.
I mean, we have the X mod on my Z, and it works great. I mean, obviously it's a VR, not the VQ,
right?
Pair of turbos really helps quiet it down too. But it's a great package.
Is that car valved?
What's that?
No exhaust.
The exhaust valve dumps. No.
Okay.
No, it's not.
Yeah, factory, the 300 is non-valve. It's one of the few that doesn't try to mitigate the sound because the turbos blanket that sound so well that it on boost, it's loud, but off boost, it's quiet inside the cabin. They did a lot of work with that.
Yeah.
I was like looking at these new setups that you have here where it's you have the valve so it kind of diverts and goes straight through and it has a little quieter tone to it, I'm sure, when they're closed.
Yeah.
But it's not, doesn't have that package on that one.
Okay.
It's just straight up. I do run the resonators on there. You guys have like the straight through pipe or the resonator, so I do have those in there.
Yeah, that makes a huge difference on the drone for sure.
It does. Yeah. So I like it. It's great. Like I said, it's not my like daily driver, but it is a street vehicle. The truck is the go-to. So love that thing.
So with your shop, do you do work for the public out of the shop, or is it only your own stuff?
We currently do not. We actually only service our own vehicles, do our own builds, our own demo cars, and we'll do like special projects for our partners. We have done like some one-off builds for certain people. Like we built a full drift car for like Letitia Buffoni. We've done like other similar projects like that for like a specific client, but we don't just do like in and out customer work. We've been toying with the idea of starting to do that. Just because we have a great location and we have the ability to, of course. But we've just always been so busy with our own projects and our own racing. But we're trying to streamline that. The drift side like really does kind of take care of itself. We got a great crew that's handling that. We've had very good success with the cars, as in we can build in the off season, one drivetrain all year long, and so we're not like kind of chasing after the setup all year. Like we were having more issue when we were running the VQ, trying to push over 1,000 horsepower of a VQ. They don't really like that. So the VR has been much more reliable.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bottom ends hold together.
Oh, yeah.
And then, so you've been a drift guy for so many years now, and there's obviously this new younger crowd getting into this.
Oh, yeah.
What do you recommend for them to get into it, right?
Yeah. I mean, the easiest way to get into drifting is... I've always said, like get yourself a car, get out to the track, but now it's starting to turn into get yourself a sim. Like there's so many people that are coming into the space that learned how to drift on a sim. And it is, it might seem expensive, but it's
cars more.
But what's the
cars a lot more? Yeah, exactly. I mean, you can get a sim for anywhere from a couple $100 to a couple $1,000. Just kind of depends on your budget. Obviously, it goes all the way to you can spend six figures.
Well, we
car prices.
We do share a friend that makes sims.
Yeah.
And then it's Podium One Racing.
Yeah, Podium One has exactly. They have everywhere in between, right? They have the newest, latest, and greatest sim that's $175,000, but all the way down to one that's just a couple grand that you can fit in the corner of your office, and the amount of seat time that you can get on a sim is crazy. and you can get a whole sim for the cost of a set of wheels.
Yeah.
You know, so, and then there's no, I mean, obviously, you know, maybe some, but ideally not maintenance on a simulator versus a car.
Well,
So
You might have to reset the computer.
yeah. Exactly.
Well, I mean, just look at your tire expense. If you're really doing it, it's like, I don't care if you're running, you know, a spec tire small 255, it's still hundreds of dollars per pass. You got to put in there. And you know, hit reset on the sim and go grab yourself a soda, come back and get back in it. But
yeah, and so you can learn the fundamentals on a sim like very quickly.
Do you feel like it's like I struggle on the sim. I've only done it a little bit. Every time I go out to Tennessee, I have to go stop by Podium and Racing and play.
Yeah.
It's difficult because I don't have that same feeling, even you know it's moving. But do you find that like once you figure out, to me, it's not so much the sim, but it is like the computer program, like figuring that part out?
Yeah, I would say that as far as road racing, I think it's very translatable, especially with Podium One's, you know, motion rigs that they have. But with the drifting, it's like I am starting to work with them and trying to finalize how we can make it even more realistic, because it's not so much, you know, like, of course, it's like, okay, like you get the side to side G feeling, right? But you don't want just to be like whipped side to side in the sim. That's not really how it feels in the car. Like there's just like a constant like load. Right. So you need more of like a slow transition back and forth and just like whip to the, you know, full angle, whip the full angle. It's not exactly how it feels in the car. So trying to like calculate that into the sim to have a more realistic experience is what we're working on with them. But yeah, when it comes to road racing, I think it translates very well. And
memorize that track.
Yeah.
I see that for sure. What was hard for me was the I don't feel my body moving forward and then slowing down. And then it's the video game aspect, right? So it's like the
indestructible.
Yeah, like when I get behind the wheel of, you know, a Porsche and I'm driving, like, you know, you can sense like I'm getting closer to the zone where the sim. But I definitely see how
there's a little bit of heroism with the sim, you know.
Well, that you just don't sense the speed the same way, but definitely you learn the track.
Yes,
and you learn to appreciate the track, right?
Yeah. Learn the lines. You can try things outside of just setup, just as far as like breaking points, lines, turning, lifting.
Do you recommend like? So when you get into the sim, not necessarily say like go to Podium One and buy one, but like the steering wheel and the controls, like do you have like a brand or something that's like known as like a good entry point?
I mean,
or is it all pretty good?
Yeah, I mean they're all getting really good now, and like Podium, what's cool about them is that they have like a wide range, like to try and fit within your budget. You know, they aren't exactly like, you know, this is like our only kit, you know, take it or leave it. So you can kind of price point out your steering wheel, how complicated you want it to be. You know, obviously they have screens on them now. You can have like no buttons, all buttons.
By your Formula One version or your NASCAR version.
Yeah, and like the pedals, like they have those like Semi-Cube, I believe that's how you say it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pedals that are just like incredible with how much throw you can dial in, how much tension you can dial in.
They're literally hydraulic.
Yes.
And you set up resistance so you can get clutch feel or brake feel.
Yeah. So it's just infinite, like how, you know, much you want to invest into the sim, just like a race car.
Yeah.
And so obviously work within your budget, just like if you want to learn how to drift, don't go out and buy a Formula Drift Pro car, right? If you want to go off-road racing, don't buy a trophy truck. You know, it's like there's definitely steps to it to, you know, have a good experience and learn a lot. You definitely learn more with less in you know, those types of settings, in my opinion. But yeah, like the biggest learning bit for me with the sim, like we're saying, is mostly learning the track. I did some road racing in those rush cars last year, and so I went out and like got some seat time in the vehicle out in Texas. Was pretty quick, you know, keeping up with you know, some of the fast guys, and then we're getting ready for the Laguna Seca race. So I just hopped on my sim, and I was just driving a Radical. It's not even the same car, you know, but just kind of close to it, and just running some laps at Laguna. And then I get out to Grid Life, and I qualified third in a field of 40 on my like second road race event ever. And so like, yeah, I definitely think that you know, there is that translation, like I said, especially in the road racing. And so I'm working with them to help you know, get more of that translation on the drift side, because there are a lot of drifters coming from the sim into the space. We have one in our series. He's 15 years old, and he's gotten on the podium before. He's like, you know, he's running in the top, you know, echelon of drivers.
Okay.
And he's just got thousands of hours on the sim, and he's only been driving for like, what, 2 or 3 years?
Wow.
So yeah, definitely a lot of experience. And so that's like a bit of a testament to how it can be. But as far as if you want to get into drifting with a car, after you get some sim experience, yeah, I mean, I tell everybody just like get yourself a cheap, affordable rear-wheel drive car, and just kind of like pick the car you want. And not because of Nissan, but I do say that the Z is the best chassis to start with, because
240, like
240 is kind of out the window now because it's priced out.
Yeah.
oh, they become
They're priced out, and they're rare, they're hard to find, and you basically like kind of have to do an engine swap as soon as you get one.
Okay.
So with the Z, you get V6 power, so you got like 300 horsepower, you got a strong transmission, you got a good diff, good axles. So you're not like breaking things as soon as you go out to the track.
And what would the mods be to that car when you buy it?
First 3 mods I tell everybody is diff seat coilovers. Okay. So you need a differential to lock up your rear tires.
Okay.
If it has like a viscous or a torsion or something in there that's kind of locking them up, you can maybe forego that if you're on a budget. But having like a mechanical diff or a spool or like a welded is the best way. A bucket seat. So same thing if it's like a Z like has kind of good bolsters, so you can kind of once again forego that if you're on a budget. But like a good bucket seat will help you stay connected to the car.
Yeah.
Because especially when you're learning, you're gonna be throwing around a lot.
Yeah.
So staying connected to the car, feeling the car, and not just worrying about holding on to the steering wheel is very, very important. And then coilovers is the best bang for your buck as far as like getting the car lowered, center of gravity down, stiffen up the suspension, just having it a little more control. And then from there, I tell people start to work on, some power upgrades, just easy intake and exhaust mods. And then, but not to do like angle kits until you can get around a track.
Okay.
So like my suggestion is always until you can at least figure eight and or like link like 2 or 3 turns together, like then get an angle kit, because you're just putting a Band-Aid on.
Yeah.
Right. So if you need that window to make those 2 or 3 corners, then like, you should tighten your window up.
Okay.
Yeah. Get that car control down before you start modifying the things that allow it to go out of control.
Yeah.
But things like brake handles.
So once again, like a Z has a really great handbrake because it has an internal drum. So it locks up pretty well from the factory. Just use that. So once again, you can start off with that. But yeah, like a hydro handbrake, I would say to get one of those before an angle kit.
Okay.
Because, as you, as I'm teaching someone, I tape the handbrake down. It's like, don't touch that. Like, you
just want them to be able to.
Let's learn the throttle control and where you're looking, like where your focus is, how you rotate the car, how you land the car and catch it with the throttle.
So just weight transfer is good enough. Yeah.
Yeah. And so you can definitely get around a track without a handbrake. Yeah. A handbrake is a tool that you later applies, just like left foot braking.
Same as
I'm not going to teach left foot braking in the first couple of days.
No.
So
unless you're on a Porsche or a rear engine car.
Yeah.
I got humbled in that car pretty quickly. I got to take my car on the track at PECLA, so the Porsche Experience Center LA is what PECLA stands for. But yeah, like that's a car that if you give it too much or you let off too quickly, which is extremely difficult for an off-road person to do, because that's how we steer the unlimited trucks is weight transfer. Well, yeah, you wind up sliding that thing out pretty easily. Luckily, it has good power. It's easy to catch, but you just can't panic. That thing, like one day I was PCH turning right on Brookhurst.
Oh, boy.
And I was in my GT3 RS. It was a 19 car, and the back end came around, and I tried to correct it, but then the car tried to correct me.
Oh, boy.
Because I didn't turn it all off, and I rugged burned both elbows on the Alcantara, like sawing at the wheel.
Oh, God.
It saved it, but it's anyways, all the nannies.
Big pucker moment.
Yeah, it was like, okay, I could have, 2 things went. You just stay in it and whip it all the way around, or you tried to save it. And, of course, I tried to save it. I had it, and then the car saved me creating a bigger problem. So,
well, that's good.
Sometimes the nannies work.
No, the nannies were bad. Like it just didn't.
It's counterintuitive when you're fighting a computer that thinks you're doing something really wrong.
Oh yeah,
and that's what happens.
Doesn't know you have skill.
Yeah. But okay, so would like a V8 car like C6 Corvette or that kind of stuff?
Yeah, like I was saying, it's you see a lot of guys that do that are getting into like C5s and C6s. Okay. They're great.
What would your top? Let me just do this. What would your top 3 cars be to start with?
To start with, based on budget or overall, like
Budget's the biggest thing.
Yeah, I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
budget. Let's go budget. Let's go no budget, and let's go. But within reason, no budget.
I mean, yeah. Well, I would say like
Best bang for the buck.
yeah, 350Z, and then like an E36 or 46, and then a C5.
Okay.
Like those are easily the best.
Okay.
Like as far as like how good the car performs out of the box, and then how progressible, if that's the word.
Well, the support for all of those cars is amazing. Like,
Yeah.
Exactly. You're not going to get like pinned in a corner like you bought this weird car that doesn't have much of an aftermarket support. Like all those cars have huge aftermarket support.
And this would
they
still
work
be
great.
a good street car.
Yeah.
So you can have fun, have
Yep.
a weekend car, go to the track and
100%.
drift. And,
Yeah.
got to get a lot of zip ties though if you're going to get into drifting from what I've heard. From hitting the wall. No, it's funny how many people I see at like the show that have tried and gone through, and it's like all the body mounts. You can only do those little hockey stick push through so many times before it's like drill, zip tie, and that's how I look on the street.
It holds them on. Yeah. So I know. Ideally, it's like like you said. As soon as you take those panels off once or twice, they just start falling off.
Yeah. What about a place to go practice? So once you buy the car and you're in Southern California, are there spots to go actually use the car?
Yeah, Apple Valley Speedway is the best spot right now.
Okay.
Willow is changing a little bit, so kind of unsure what the climate's going to be like up at Willow Springs for the next couple months, as they have the new owners and they're going to go under some construction. So I don't know if they're going to like kind of piecemeal it and keep some tracks open, or if they're just going to shut the whole place down. But AVS up in Apple Valley, they have almost daily access to the track.
Okay.
So yeah, a lot of guys go.
But nowhere down in Riverside, Orange County.
Well, the kart track, Adams Kart Track, they still do events there from time to time. It's not as open access as like Willow and or AVS is. Yeah, they have a schedule.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, those are the only ones now. Like Irwindale's gone.
Otherwise, what was the other one? There's a local event that does like open, like at the Orange Show, like hot pits. And things
hot
like that.
pit. Yeah, they just had an event out at Orange Show, but that's once again that track is like it's event.
Event
only.
driven.
Yeah. So they, I don't know if they have like open track days there though. They used to, but yeah, I don't really see too much from Orange Show lately.
Yeah.
What about your events that you do? What are your favorite events? Which ones are your favorite? Not necessarily in Formula D, but just in general.
Grid Life for sure. Okay. So going to the Grid Life events because we get to go out, we give rides, we get to hit the back straight full speed, things like that. So it's a whole different experience than competition. It's like, okay, here's a track, you have it for 30 minutes, go nuts. And so we bring out like the Altima and or some of our demo Zs. But yeah, like I have a car that we basically built specifically for like Grid Life style events. So it was the world's first CAD design tube chassis drift car out of an Altima. And so
4-door.
Yeah, it's a 4-door, 4-seater, VR38 powered, sequential trans, got the winters. There's like no subframes in the car. It's built like a pre-runner.
Okay.
Yeah. So you'd appreciate it.
And so what is Grid Life exactly for the people out there and myself to fully understand?
Grid Life is a series. It started off as like just track days out in the Midwest. Their primary event is out at Gingerman Raceway outside of Chicago. And now they have expanded to, they just had an event in South Carolina. They do Road America. They do Laguna Seca. So last year we did like 5 of their events. This year, working on getting to a couple of them. We had some extra support last year to go to more of them since they are kind of out on the other side of the country.
Okay.
But we'll definitely be at Laguna again this year. And that's incredible, just being able to mop the corkscrew and hit the full track there. But so Grid Life, like I said, it started off as track days, and then it turned into, obviously they have some time attack, and then they started to do wheel-to-wheel racing. Now they have Grid Life Touring Cup, which is a spec series, like power to weight to tire racing class. So you got all these different style vehicles, manufacturers, front-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive, front engine, mid engine, cars racing each other. And they did a really good job with the formula to keep them all tight.
So it's more racing than it is
wheel to wheel road racing. Yeah.
So
it is. Yeah. They certainly have drifting, but I would say that it's about a 75-25 split.
So this is a great place if you want to get into road racing to where you can just.
Yeah. The drifting side, like they do allow people to sign up, but it is like you get chosen. It's not an open track day.
Got it.
Yeah. So it is a little more open track day for the racing side because they have so many classes.
Okay.
So they'll have, street mod and like track mod, and then they'll have like unlimited. And
So
then
do people take their own street cars to go race?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so you'll have guys that are like full blown unlimited, like on the trailer, like Ferris. He comes out with his C6 and like sets track records, and then you got guys that are driving up in their Civic and they're, racing in Honda Fits,
And
like things like that.
do you have to wear a race suit and a helmet, have a cage?
It depends on the class. Yeah. So like some of those low entry time attack classes, it's just get your longs on, a helmet, no cage, no racing seats or anything like that.
So someone with
there will always be a class for you if you show up with a car and a helmet.
So I'm asking for a friend right now.
Okay.
If you've ever heard that term. So if you have a Porsche and you want to, not Gary. But if you have a Porsche and you want to go road race a car, you can take your car and go on the track.
100%.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's very
they
cool.
kind of had speed ventures here when, not Irwindale, the Fontana Speedway was there.
Okay.
And it was like, you paid $100, same thing. You brought a helmet and you got to the event. They had classes based upon your skill level, and you've got to go do the infield, and you did like a little transition onto the bank part and came down. But I mean, there were great events to get out there just so you can learn your car.
Yeah.
Even if your idea was not to drive fast professionally, it just gives you a place where you can go and push a limit and find, oops, that's where my traction is.
Yeah.
Okay, I can get on the throttle this hard out of a corner. Or hey, you know what? When you do that like infield transition and there's an unsettling point, this is when 3 tires starts to affect 4 tires getting traction. Yeah. And I think it's a cool thing and an opportunity. Most people, if you're going to drive a high horsepower car, get out there and like learn something. That's, we used to probably be able to get away with it in a parking lot back in the day at the mall when it was an early Sunday and there was nothing going on. But, today...
I cannot deny or agree with that.
The fines and the penalties are too high. So there's these opportunities to find. And it just depends on which region you're in to kind of get them. But you kind of need to just get behind the wheel of that car, find those limits, instead of doing it on your way out.
Yeah,
if you have a Mustang. When you're leaving your car's coffee.
Yeah, so... Now, for that, not drifting, what do you recommend for a car? Top 3.
Ooh, for a road race car?
Yeah.
It's a tough one. Because now you're opening up, front wheel drive, all wheel drive, a bunch of different style
bigger
vehicles.
budget consideration too.
Yeah, so it's now you just have a whole different plethora of like what you prefer, because drifting obviously narrows it down to just rear wheel drive vehicles.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, you got guys out there and, like Honda's like ripping like really well, actually. Like a Civic just won the GLTC class last weekend, racing against, it was like wheel to wheel with a C6 Corvette. And it was a little, 4-door, what's that, the EF? Oh God, don't forgive me.
Yeah.
Not the EF, the 4-door version of the sedan.
Okay.
The EG-EF era. So yeah, like a little 94 Civic 4-door going wheel to wheel with a C6. EX. That's the one. Yeah. Yeah. Those two going, side by side down like the back straight. I was like, awesome. So like, anything you want.
So that had to be a modded car?
Oh, of course. Yeah. This is in the Touring Cup class. So yeah, they're like little built spec race cars. And they're doing wheel to wheel racing.
But stock cars you can buy. So would it just be your typical like
I know I'm avoiding the question.
350Z.
I don't know if you're picking up what I'm doing here.
Yeah.
Once again, Z is a killer bang for the buck. It's very lightweight, rear wheel drive, awesome balance. Much more affordable than the most. BMW's great, counterpart as well. Like a good 3 Series. Like the Mustangs, like Camaros in that era, they're just too big and bulky in my opinion. Mm-hmm. The Cayman is a killer track car.
Those would be it.
Yeah, like a couple of those you see out there racing in grid lives. And they come with a DCT, so it's super fun right out of the gate. So yeah. I'd say good little mid rear package on that one.
Okay. Yeah, no, I've been looking, right? Because the road race thing to me is this brand new thing, and it's very difficult for me. Like I said,
a little cheaper than the GT3 RS.
That's a tough one. But the road race thing seems fun. It's very precision, which I'm not. In the desert, it's different because it's all about weight transfer on these cars. Like, in the desert, you just hit the track once. You go, okay, back there, I would have changed that. Yeah. But in the road race car, you're just trying to hit the same time over and over.
Repeating is
you're doing a minute and a half lap, so you're coming back around to the same turns, every minute. But yeah, I mean, if you entered in, you could come and race that car at Laguna.
Okay.
It's in October, I want to say.
Okay.
It's, towards the end of the year. But yeah, Grid Life Laguna Seca, you should go. Yeah. I mean, there's no better place to take that car.
Yeah. No, so back to the sim, when I did the sim there through that corkscrew area, I definitely caught air.
Yeah, you will.
But you will in real life?
Yes, you will.
It's scary.
Yeah, it's nuts.
So
it's a really cool feeling.
Do you think you're going through there when you're realistic?
Depending on the car, but like approximately 45, 50.
Okay.
I'd say, right?
Anyway, that back sweeper, you're making that hard left. You brake blindly. You look for the cone, brake blindly.
You're braking uphill.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can see the crest. So you're going up a hill, and you cut across the track from track left to track right.
Yeah.
Hard brakes, and then you kind of like lift, turn in, and you're back on the power before you can see again.
Well, the crazy part is that your hood still doesn't let you see the ground yet, and you're coming down.
Yeah.
And you've got to be on the throttle for that right turn sweeper, otherwise you're sliding down or not coming out of that corner. So
because you'll G out, and the car gets unsettled, so you want to be in the pedal before you G out.
Yeah, to keep it sucked down. Yeah, I was at the IMSA race. Not this year, but last year. And I got one of the track legends took us around the track in whatever the sponsored car was, some 4-door sedan thing. I could not believe how fast he went around the track in that car.
Yeah, you'd be
and a stock car, stock tires and everything.
Yeah, like you'd be surprised how fast a good hustler can get.
It was pretty wild how much that experienced role plays. We were doing Optima had that Optima Ultra Street Car Challenge that happened at Pahrump. And we brought Tanner Faust to do exhibition laps because this is like number 1, 2, or 3. I can't remember which year because we brought him to all 3 of those. And he wasn't allowed to participate as a professional racer back then, but he could do an exhibition lap. All we had was a 2010 Mustang with Corsa R tires from Pirelli and a supercharged Edelbrock setup with coilovers from Eibach. A very street car setup.
Oh, yeah, full-blown street car.
And I don't know if you remember, NASCAR had an SSS series, which was the street-legal NASCAR chassis, and he was doing an exhibition lap. Tanner was running so hard. One, it's got in those, they don't have a good baffle in those early Mustangs, so the fuel sloshes. He's connecting corners, drifting, and catching up to the SSS car running a hot lap on the track, and we got to do ride-alongs with this thing, and just watching somebody, even with a far less capable vehicle, but the skill under knowing the track, keep up with a pro driver in a class car was pretty fun to watch.
That's so cool.
It's just that that time, seat time, the expectation. The tool didn't matter too much, and it was fun as hell when he went and linked the entire. We had that. They had a what do they call it? The cone autocross course. And he linked the course and ran the second fastest time in an exhibition pass than people running the course. It was pretty awesome.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
So cool.
Yeah, like we, I've gotten to go to Goodwood a couple times. Ooh. And so, like we had the V8 car out there and we had like fully tuned up, like with its full like FD spec, like Saturday night special, like trying to get like all the speed out of it. And I never got a time, but like because like they have us stop and we do the donuts in front of the mansion and go on. But like I would love to like just rip a time up the hill climb in one of the drift cars and see how it compares because they're actually really fast, the FD cars when they're set up. And even funnier still, the Altima with the 4 seats with 4 people in it, that car will outrun an FD Pro car.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, because it actually just has so much weight pushing down on the tire.
Okay.
It's funny. Like we'll have that thing out at Grid Life, and all the drift cars will be kind of going through. We'll take the Altima through, and we'll do like one lap because we can only make one lap on the set of tires. So just go out, burn the lap, and come back in. And it'll just be this like just dark black paint, just parent marks. Yeah, just on top of everything else. And it's like, that's the Altima.
Well, very cool. What a fun episode.
Yeah. Well, it's obviously we've kind of reinitiated our relationship here this year. We've got a lot of FD stuff that we're going to be following you through. if there's anybody out there that wants to follow you, where are the places they can find you on social media?
Yeah, it's my Instagram is Chris Forsberg 64. Facebook is Chris Forsberg Racing, and YouTube is Chris Forsberg Racing. And the TikTok is also Chris Forsberg 64. So,
awesome.
yeah.
Well, we wanted to thank you for coming here. And obviously, if you wanted to find out more information about things going on in my social, you can reach me at Instagram, Oxidizer, OXIDIZR.
And I'm Jerry Zaiden. You could find me at Jerry Zaiden on all the social channels. And to watch this on YouTube, it's at MagnaFlow TV. Everywhere else, it's at MagnaFlow. This has been the MF Show.